History Inside a Nutshell, the show where we sail into our port of call discussing maritime history.
John J Harvey, the hero of 9/11. On September 11, 2001, a group of terrorists linked to Osama bin Laden's Islamic extremist group Al-Qaeda carried out suicide attacks against the United States of America. The group hijacked 4 commercial planes which crashed into the Pentagon and the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, 2 of the tallest American buildings in New York City. As a result, thousands of innocent lives were lost or suffered lifelong injuries. But rather than looking into the event itself, we'll be turning our attention to the history of a fireboat that played a huge part in these events. As tens of thousands of people tried to leave the island of Manhattan, the John J Harvey raced to evacuate 150 people and battle fires that was engulfing the World Trade Center. She was due to being scrapped before 9/11, but as fate would have it, she would be saved, becoming a vessel hero. This is the story of the fireboat John J Harvey. The John J Harvey was launched on the 6th of October 1931 and when she was commissioned 2 months later. She joined the New York City Fire Department in New York City. At 130 feet long, she became one of the most powerful fireboats in New York of her generation. She weighed a tonnage of 268, had a 5/8 nickel steel plate, and was the first fireboat to be powered by internal combustion engines. Her top speed was 20 knots and was capable of pumping up to 18,000 gallons of water a minute. The water would be pumped from the Harvey's battery of water cannons he used to douse ship and shoreline fires. The Harvey would also be equipped with 29 kilowatt generators for auxiliaries and excitations. She was named in memory of the Marine fireman John J Harvey, who was killed during a fire explosion a year before the fireboat's launch. During her time with the FDNY, the fireboat battled dockside fires including Pier 54, the burning of the SS Normandy in 1942, and oil tanker infernos in 1966 involving the Alva Cape and Texaco, Massachusetts. In 1994, she was retired after 63 years of service. The Harvey was supposed to be sold for scrap or become a floating bar, but in 1999, she was sold at auction to be a private consortium of marine preservationists. However, on the 11th of September 2001, the John J Harvey was called out to duty once more when she was unexpectedly reported for duty. 2 hijacked aircraft crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, and following impact, the towers caught on fire from the 3,000 gallons of jet fuel from the plane's engines. While chaos was occurring around Manhattan, a group of volunteers, including the Harvey's chief engineer Jessica DuLong, acted on board to begin an emergency rescue evacuation, famously known as Ground Zero. Because of its use in the past, the group asked the FDNY permission to assist them by evacuating people from Lower Manhattan. In response, the department radioed in, "Just go down there." When the Harvey arrived at the scene, the Twin Towers had collapsed, 2 hours after impact. The crew saw thousands of people on the edge of Battery Park City on the Hudson River. It was reported that upon the Harvey's arrival, about 150 jumped over the railing. When carrying as many people as the fireboat could, the Harvey evacuated them to New Jersey and Brooklyn. Later on, NYPD officer Tyrone Powell would describe the rescue efforts as Noah's Ark. "We had like Noah's Ark. We had everybody on that boat. We had animals, we had babies without parents, everybody was covered in soot." Suddenly, while the fireboat was evacuating, another call came through when officials radioed the chief engineer asking if the Harvey's pumps still work. This question was asked as firemen battling blazes at the World Trade Center had no water because the Twin Towers had fallen on the water mains and the fire hydrants. Immediately, the team returned to the scene. With 2 other fireboats, the firefighter and the John D. McKean, the Harvey began pumping gallons of water to keep the flames under control. They even supplied water to the fire trucks and beverages and food to people at Seawell. Of the role the Harvey played within New York's maritime community, an estimated 400 to 500,000 were rescued, and the National Trust for Historic Preservation gave the John J. Harvey a special award for the fireboat's heroic actions. The fireboat retired from service once again in 2005. Following the 9/11 attacks, the United States of America declared war on Afghanistan, particularly targeting Taliban and Al-Qaeda camps. The war would go on for nearly 20 years before U.S. troops would withdraw from the country in 2021. Sadly, the Taliban authorities are still active in Afghanistan to this very day. There have also been more terrorist attacks in the years since 9/11, including the 7/7 attacks in London in 2005 and the Paris attacks in the French capital city in 2015. As a result of 9/11, the Twin Towers have been left in a pile of rubble, but in 2014, on the spot where the towers once stood, the 9/11 Memorial and Museum were open to the public. So far, it has been visited by people from all 50 states and 175 countries. Her story was put to print in a children's storybook, Fireboat: The Heroic Adventures of the John J. Harvey. Today, the John J. Harvey is moored at North River Pier 66 on the Hudson River. She's now on the National Register of Historic Places and is an operational museum and education center. The fireboat takes irregular but frequent free trips around the city. As an additional bonus, especially with children, her popular feature is when the fireboat shoots water from her cannons. The heroic story of the John J. Harvey is the greatest tale to be told in American maritime history. And while the world's scars from 9/11 are still healing, the citizens of New York will never forget the little fireboat that brought light into its darkest hour.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe for future videos. Until next time, this has been History Inside a Nutshell, departing from the dogs. Thank you so much for all of your support and enjoy the rest of your voyage.